In the last video of the RX7, we went through and we completely restored the bottom side of this 1993 Mazda RX7 because it was looking pretty rough. There was a lot of pockets of rust. The paint and the primer had come off in some areas and it just needed some serious attention. So we went through, re-epoxy primed the bottom side of the car after stripping it, applied some new seam sealer, rhino lined the bottom, and it is looking fresher than ever. Now it's time we jump up into the engine bay and start prepping that, so that way we can start to get our engine back in and make some more massive strides on this thing. So here's what we're looking at right now. I've already stripped all of the metal down to a workable paintable surface for us. We still need to Scotch-Brite and clean everything, then mask, and then we can put our primer down. We are going to do similar to what we did with the undercoating down here. We're gonna go ahead and spray the primer, let it cure overnight, come back and put our base coat down for the actual color that the car is going to be, which is Aspen white. It's a Subaru color. I think it's gonna look fantastic on an RX-7. Now, there was a significant amount of rust all up in this engine bay that I went through. I spent so much time fixing it. You guys can see some of the pitting in the metal there that you can't really get out unless you, I mean, you can't get it out, but you can weld and then sand it all back down if you wanted to. So instead of that, that'll be totally fine. What I use, because somebody was asking, I use Evapo-Rust gel, and you paint this on with a paintbrush, you let it sit. Once the rust turns from brown to black, you can go ahead and grind it all down, and it kind of just cures that little area. So I've gone around the entire engine bay and done that. Let's grab some Scotch-Brite, very similar. We're gonna scuff up all of the surfaces that we are gonna be painting. Scotch-Brited, I've done a first round of base cleaning. When it comes to doing this, if you think it's clean, it's not. So I did one base round of cleaning. We're gonna do 2 more base rounds of cleaning. Once it's masked, we're gonna clean it with acetone one more time, clean it with wax and grease remover, and then from there, we should be good to spray and let it cure overnight. Then we can come back in the morning, do our seam sealers, do our base coat and do our clear coat, and at that point hopefully we should have a solid engine bay, and then we can actually start reassembling the engine bay, which is going to be money. Look at this beautiful mask job, man. I'm gonna tell you now, there's gonna be a little bit of overspray. This tape does not wanna stick to the inside of the fender liners or the inside of the fenders with that Raptor liner on there, just want to adhere. So I just emptied that compressor. I need to let it fill up. While it fills up, I'm gonna run through it. See, look, dude, it's just like, can we just like chill? Clean this engine bay with some wax and grease remover real quick, and we're gonna paint this thing. God. Try this again. Let's use what we have left over.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am not very good at this. But you know, I'll still give it a go.
We are about 2 days in the future now. The epoxy primer has cured in the engine bay of the RX-7, and it honestly, even with the runs that I had in it, it came out looking pretty good. We still have to wet sand the entire engine bay, seam seal it, and then we're gonna put our base coat down because I did get our base coat in, but I also got in our authentic 99 spec bumper, and this thing is going to look so freaking good, dude. I am so excited for this car. Look at that. That looks so good, dude. I cannot wait to get this thing as a complete running and driving RX-7 again. The authentic 99 spec bumper just fits so much better than this KBD one does, and it just looks better. Now granted, it does have the license plate spot for it in the front, so whatever, we'll just put like an RX-7 placard plate on there, but that came out incredible, just incredible. Now for the engine bay, the epoxy primer, like I said, came out half decent. Not too bad for my first time spraying and making mistakes of spraying it too thick, but that's all right. Like I said, we are about to wet sand this and get it looking all fuzzy and hazy and whatnot, just to prep it for our base coat. So we're gonna do some wet sanding on the entire engine bay. We're gonna do our seam sealing that we need to do, and then we're gonna put our base coat down. Now for our base coat here, we are painting the RX-7 a Subaru color. This is Subaru's Aspen white. It is paint code 51E. This is like the best looking white that I can think of. And with my first time painting, everyone told me do white because white will hide mistakes better than black or any other colors will. Plus, I'm a sucker for a white RX-7. So let me actually pop these fenders back off. Let me take this bumper back off. And yes, with this bumper, I did get the OEM core support that goes with it, so that way it'll all bolt up properly still. So let me get all this off and let's get to wet sanding. It's probably gonna be a couple hours of wet sanding, so it's not gonna be anything crazy exciting. So I spent probably the past 4.5, 5 hours just sanding and prepping the engine bay. It's prepped at this point, so we can seam seal. Once the seam seal cures, like an hour after that, we can start shooting base. And then we can do our clear coat. And then we can just let this cure until tomorrow and then come back and take a peek at it. So with the engine bay, I decided to sand it all down with 180 grit sandpaper, wet sanding it, and then I sprayed on top of it a fillable primer and then hit that with some 360 and then 600, and that kind of got this where it needed to be. There was just a lot of texturing in the epoxy primer alone that it just, I feel like it would have transferred through to the paint. So now everything is like nice and buttery smooth. Like it may not all be the same shade of gray right now, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna paint over that. What we're aiming for is just texture to make sure that everything is nice and smooth to where it needs to be, and we don't have any weird divoting pockets, high spots, low spots, anything like that. So now that we have this good to go, let's go ahead and grab our seam sealer. I got some more of the fancy 3M heavy sealant bond stuff. Let's seal up all the seams. We'll let that cure, prep and clean again, mask, and then we'll do our base coat. So similar to last time, we are going to be using this 3M seam sealer because it seemed to work way better than the generic stuff that I had found. Anywhere where there's a seam, get seam sealer. our seam sealers laid in here. I am not gonna mask these off. I've decided I'm just gonna touch up the wheel wells because no matter what I do, I can't really mask that off nicely. As you guys can see, the blue tape doesn't even wanna stick to the frickin' Rhino liner down there, or the Raptor liner. So if it falls off, it falls off. It's not really a huge deal. I tried masking it, but we'll see. I've got everything covered with plastic sheeting because this base coat and this clear coat is going to get everywhere. So everything that's important, I've kind of just covered up right now. So what we're gonna do, wet the floor. We're gonna go ahead and clean, actually we're gonna clean this with wax and grease remover one more time, wet the floor, then we're gonna come over here and start mixing up all of our goodness. So I cleared off some room this time because last time I did not, and I got real upset because I ended up making a mess everywhere. So we've got our base coat here, our clear coat here. I've got my paint cups right there. I've got my paint gun there. I'm gonna drain the air compressor. So let me knock out this couple small stuff. I'm gonna toss you guys on head cam. The big camera is gonna go in the oven right now where it's not gonna get anything on it because like I said, this stuff is going to go everywhere. I've got my fan running in the back to suck out as much as we can. So I'm working with what I got here, but I think we'll manage. This is 1-to-1, so that should be pretty straightforward. This is our base color. I actually have stir sticks this time, so look at me getting all fancy on ya. Hopefully I don't drop any paint this time, because your boy will be a little pissed off again. Oh, dude, I was so upset when that happened. Coat 1, 10 minutes, we go again.
out phenomenal, man. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at that. So clear coat's where things can really start to go wrong. So we're pretty much at the point where we are ready to spray clear. I'm a little bit nervous. I shouldn't be, but you know, when I'm nervous, things go wrong. I'm not nervous, man. I am overly confident in the fact that we are gonna do this. All right, I've already got my clear mixed up here. It is the Eastwood Premium Show Clear 4-to-1, so I'm gonna give this one more quick little stir. It's thick, dude. So I think we're gonna start with a light coat first.
We have successfully painted our engine bay. So we're gonna let this sit overnight, come back in the morning, see how things look. We did we have 2 coats of primer, 1 epoxy primer, 1 filler primer, 3 coats of base, which is Aspen White, it's paint code 51E, as well as 4 coats of clear. We originally did 3, but there were a couple spots that needed to be hit a little bit more, so we added 1 more. And man, I would say that came out freaking good. We have solid coverage, not a single run anywhere, a good gloss to it. I am more than happy with this, so I'm curious to see what this looks like in the morning, so we'll check back in. We've let the clear coat cure for about 18 hours. It's the next morning, came back, and it's looking good. There are some things I learned with using this clear coat. In all the visible spots, once the car is fully dressed, you're not gonna see some of these areas, but I learned I need to go a little bit heavier with the clear coat to get a more even finish. Like, it's very even on everything you're gonna see, but in some of the spots you're not necessarily going to see, it could have been a little bit better. So, learning lesson for future painting stuff that we're gonna be doing on this car. Came out looking phenomenal. Like, look at that strut tower. Nice glossy finish, beautiful Aspen white. Now this is what I was talking about. If you look closely, if I can get the light to hit it right, you'll see a little bit of texture on this guy, and I just don't think that I went heavy enough with the clear coat in some of those spots. It's a little awkward to get the gun with how big the fan pattern is. It kind of just hits everything in the area, but like it still came out beautiful. Like that engine bay is probably the cleanest it's been since it left Mazda. It's probably honestly a little bit better because I got coverage all the way down the sides here, all the way up into the cowl as well. So I am big hyped about this. So this is going to cure for another day or so before I start messing with it. What we need to do next is one that I'm not looking totally forward to, and that is the interior. We need to completely strip the interior, get it painted as well, this Aspen white to match. And then I'm kinda, maybe it's a false sense of like I can do it, but I'm kinda debating painting the entire car myself now. It could just be a false sense of like I can totally do this and maybe I can't do it, but you know, maybe we'll do the fenders as test pieces in the bumper, the front end, the fenders and the bumper. If I can get those painted myself and they come out looking good, why not try to do it, right? But this came out absolutely incredible. As more of the car starts to turn white, I think it'll be better. It's just now that we have the engine bay done, we can actually start getting some of those parts over there that I have sitting around back on the car, like our front subframe that just got back from powder coat, our coilovers, our front suspension arms, everything like that. I am gonna tear the engine back down so we can repaint it, so it can just have that classic Mazda silver black engine block versus, because I Cerakoted the entire thing gray. That's something that we'll deal with later. For the time being, I am just glad that this came out the way that it did. But I'm super glad that the engine bay came out good. That checks off two of the big boxes that we needed to get done. The undercoating is all done. We need to touch up the front wheel wells, but we'll do that after this paint cures a little bit more because I don't want to stick tape to it to back mask for the wheel wells. Interior, I'm not necessarily looking forward to, but it's something that we do need to do, so that'll probably be the next one. Let's just tackle all the crappy stuff out of the way now so that way we can get to the fun stuff. And then the exterior, painting the exterior. Once the car is fully painted and it's fully white, I'll have a huge sigh of relief because at that point it's just putting the car back together because all of the parts that we have for the RX7 are already brand new. The transmission will get vapor honed or we'll Cerakote it. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure that out. I don't quite know what I want to do with it. It's looking a little bit grimy back there, but like I said, for now, that's all I got for you guys in this one. So if you're hyped to see more progress on the RX7, if you're excited to see this car come back to life like I am, go ahead and hit that like button. Turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, but hopefully it turns white because that's the color of the day today. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.